Hello there, Libras. Welcome to Lucy de Antigua Tarot, and my name is Lucy, and thank you for visiting. And I have your reading here. We're going to do your reading for the Tarot reading for the month of March 2017. Now, I've already shuffled the cards, but we're going to do it a quick shuffle here. Message for Libras. Messages for Libras for the month of March 2017. Okay, so let's cut the cards. Okay, 1, 2. Usually I like to cut them like in 5 sections. Sometimes I'll do 4, just depends, and sometimes I'll mix them up a little bit. Okay, right, all right. Okay, so there we go. Let's place them. Let's pull them out. We're going to do a 3-card spread. Okay, so let's see what we get. Okay, High Priestess. I mean, not the High Priest, or the Hierophant, actually. Okay, you're getting the Hierophant. You're getting the High Priestess. Wow. Okay, and then you have, wow, the Knight of Wands. Okay, now, so the High Priest is at your center, and it is a major arcana. It's the number 5. And the Hierophant represents institutions, knowledge, and the power of the collective, the power of the masses. He can also represent established organizations such as universities and religious organizations. He can also represent companies and corporations, established institutions, law, everything that's been established or is established in our society today. The card signifies respect towards traditions. And sometimes we may not like some traditions. We like to feel that we're free. But, you know, sometimes traditions are important. That's what this card is saying. It is also important to respect traditions. Especially not only traditions within our local communities that might be diverse traditional expressions from different community members. It's talking about respecting these traditions even though they may not be our own. Also, this card is saying that sometimes we do need to play the game of the established rules in society. So it could be that you are in a position where you might be responsible for a group of people, and they are looking up to you. And it might be telling you to don't completely ignore or put aside established ways of doing things within this group. You could be the person who is like a leader in this group, and people are looking up to you perhaps to lead the way, but you might need to consider some of the traditional components of this organization or group. People may be looking up to you. And there's some keys down here which represent the keys of knowledge. See, pull this way. The key's right down there at the bottom, right here at the bottom, right there. And you might need to inform yourself a little bit more as to the traditions of this group. Okay, Libras, you guys like to do the right thing. You like to feel balanced. And it's interesting because you are also getting the High Priestess, and she's all about balancing the forces within us, the binary forces within us. And he also is sitting between two columns. But they're well established. There's like a lot of in this image of the Hierophant. There's like grounding in this image, and it might be telling you to consider seriously within that group that you might be working or having to work and having to make decisions. To find that grounding and that balance. And it might be that you already recognize the importance of these manifestations, of these dynamics within this particular situation that you might be finding yourself in, Libras. Now, this is a number 5. The Hierophant is number 5, and number 5 speaks of independence and free thinking and fast moving, non-attachment. It also speaks of making positive life changes and decisions and learning life lessons through experience. The number 5 is ruled by Mars, so it is a masculine energy, but you're getting the High Priestess. So it would seem to me that there's like some balancing that needs to happen between, the masculine, which are usually established institutions often, and the feminine, which is more the instinct. Yeah. The goal here, or the focus with the number 5, is to gain or attain greater stability. And again, that might be something that this group is seeking, more stability within the organization. Okay. And it looks like that's what's going on with that card. The interesting thing also about this card and the fact that it's a number 5, the number 5 is the between point between 1 and 9, and it represents not only a variety of experiences through the senses, through developed senses. You develop your senses, and your experiences might be perceived quite differently. But it also offers many opportunities for choices and decisions for the future. And it implies also movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's like the impulse to move forward up to the 10. So it's a very powerful card, a very important card here. Then it's coming out at your center, Libras. I'm not really sure if you can hear a tapping, in the area where I live. There's a little bit of construction going on around here, and so that tapping is part of that. Okay, so let's move on to your next card, which is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess, Libra, is the guardian of the unconscious. She sits in front of the thin veil of unawareness, which is all that separates us from our inner landscape. She contains within herself the secrets of these realms, these landscapes, and offers us a silent invitation to be still and to know that you do have your higher self, your spiritual higher self within you, in spite of the shadows of your landscape. She is the feminine principle. Now, she's considered the mysterious unknown. And the reason for this is precisely because of this landscape in our subconscious, which she invites us to enter, to confront our positive and negative sides, our light sides, our sides that are illuminated with light, and our sides that are illuminated with shadow. And it's very significant that you're getting this card after this Hierophant, this high priest. So you definitely, I would think that you would want to, before you make any decisions within this group and situation that you are in, that you are being seen as a leader, and to get better informed, to inform yourself more on what's going on, and then how you actually feel about it, and to make decisions how you're going to balance your freedom of thought, your own system of values versus the traditional systems that are set in place within this organization, perhaps. You know, the high priestess also represents a new way of seeing the world and your life within it. She is the entry into your inner temple, your inner landscape. And it's no longer about managing and controlling the world that's outside of yourself. It is more about exploring that new world that you're having to perhaps figure out how to negotiate. Okay. It's interesting to me that she is the number 2. She's the number 2 tarot card. She follows the Magician, and of course 0 is the Fool. And when we think of the number 2, it is often said that the number 2 is the Son of God in the Holy Trinity of Christian theology. The Holy Trinity in Christian theology is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or the Holy Spirit. So the number 2 is the Son, number 1 being God, or the Father. Also, if 1 is the essence, 2 is the existence. It is the symbol of duality, of the opposition, of the separation, and of antagonism. And number 2 is the first number that deviates from the 1, from the unit. And for that reason, it is like considered to have sinned, put that in quotes, because it has deviated from the Father, from the center per se. So it too admits to this need to deviate. And so for that reason, it symbolizes those things corruptible. And it also symbolizes love and charity, because when there's duality, there exists the whole dynamics of giving and receiving, of male and female. There exist those dualities. It is one of the more spiritual cards of the Tarot. Some people say that it's the most spiritual. In your reading, it's significant that you're getting the High Priestess and the Hierophant at the same time. And then you have the Knight of Wands. The Knights represent the challenge to our freedom, Libras, to do what we want. So it is a big challenge for you to negotiate your freedom. And it is facing you right there. It's challenging you. And with the Knights, you are being called to take action. You are being called to step up and to take it or not. To take that challenge or not. And what is the challenge? The challenge, I believe, is negotiating these forces. In other words, your freedom, your way of seeing things versus the established, what has been established, what is set in tradition. And also, the Knight is inviting you or challenge you to see beyond the appearances, to see beyond your conceptual interpretation of what you see and what you think. It's opening, it's about, are you willing, the challenge here also is, are you willing to have a different perspective regarding this situation, this organization, and your role as a leader. Perhaps this is a general reading, because you might see the beauty in this different tradition that you're not too sure about. If you kind of take a little bit of time to observe and reflect and kind of open up some of those shaded areas in your landscape of your subconscious, and try to keep an open mind and an open heart. Now, I usually, when the Knights come out, I like to think of them as one, because they do have the one wand. It's one wand, one knight, one horse. So to me, I would like to say that it's a number one. And here's the landscape of the subconscious. A landscape that's barren, but ready to be built on, or ready to be enhanced or decorated. But the number one is the number that follows 0 and that comes before the number 2. And it represents a single entity. And we see the number 1 in common expressions like the beginning of, or the creation of, or my first step is, or first I will do. Let's think about this first and then we'll think about the other. So it's like that first jumping point. It is considered the first cause and the first mover. The number 1 is the sum of all possibilities. It is essence and it is the center. But it is also isolation. It is the number of isolation from which the 2 springs forward. But the number 1 also springs forth and surges, upsurges. It comes up. It challenges. It moves from duality to multiplicity and then back to the final unity. So Libras, you have a challenge that you need to work out. You're being confronted with a challenge, and the High Priestess is telling you that it's an opportunity for you to enhance your inner landscape with new perceptions. Okay, all right guys, it is a general reading, but that is the reading for you guys for the month of March 2017. I hope you liked it. Thank you for visiting. Have a great month, and I will see you in April. Bye-bye.